Utopia is a British TV show released in 2013, which went largely unnoticed until 2020, when a certain inflation-loving furry YouTuber made a certain 8-hour video about it, causing me and many others to fall in love with it. After watching the show, you'll find that Utopia is a TV show that loves to experiment with camera angles and its cinematography, often using different techniques, such as giving the characters massive headroom in order to make them seem small and insignificant, as well as others to give the show a unique feel. But in today's video, I want to focus on two particular shots and what they mean for a certain character's progression throughout the show. Wilson. He's a character who throughout the show has a massive change of heart, at the start being completely against the organisation known as the Network, before finding out he actually agrees with some of the reasons they're doing what they're doing, and proceeding to become the head of the conspiracy. Now I want to talk about those previously mentioned shots, and how I think they perfectly show his progression throughout the show. The first shot is from Season 1, Episode 1, coming from the scene where he gets his eyeball scooped out by Network employee Lee. The second shot comes from Season 2, Episode 6, and is the scene where Wilson carves the Chinese character for Rabbit into his stomach. Both shots are extremely visually similar, which I believe was 100% intentional, as to show Wilson's character progression. In the first shot, we see him have his eye taken out, a physical part of him being torn away by the Network. This moment also represents the first metaphorical part of Wilson being stripped away, as he realises how dangerous the Network can really be, and how much shit he's really gotten himself into by fucking with them. In the second shot, we see him carve the Chinese character for Rabbit into his stomach. I interpret this as the last part of Wilson being erased and replaced with Mr. Rabbit, which parallels the first scene's connotations, as that can be seen as the first part of Wilson being torn away. I also want to mention that in Scene 1, Wilson is being forcefully torn away, but in Scene 2, he willingly strips that last part of his personality, which also helps to show him transitioning from an enemy of the Network to an ally. Wilson's associated colours also change in these shots. In the first scene, the colour green is prominent, and in the second one, the colour red is prominent. Taking the common colour rules of TV, those being that green symbolises a good character and red symbolises a bad one, and applying it to these two shots of Wilson can once again show his progression from a good guy to a bad one. In the second scene, Wilson's hat can almost be seen as a black halo. One could parallel to this to the devil. I know, it sounds crazy, just stick with me here. Essentially, the devil was thought to originally be an angel, but then he disobeyed God and got sent down to hell. You could say his halo went from white to black, much like Wilson's does throughout the show. I know, insane reach, but this almost perfectly parallels Pietro's journey throughout the show, with him going from an ally of the Network to an enemy. We even see that halo idea come back in the final scene of the show, with the creases on Pietro's white pillow almost forming a halo. His old look is even back in this scene, beardless, showing that he's the same person on the outside, just with new ideals. In contrast, Wilson's clothes remain mostly the same throughout the show. This could be interpreted as showing that he was always this person underneath, it's just to the Network to bring out his true ideals. That last segment was mostly meant to show the contrast between Wilson's journey and Pietro's, but I did heavily touch on what I want to talk about next, which is where I think the show would have gone with this idea. If you ask me, Season 3, had it happened, would have definitely focused a lot more on religious themes and aspects. Obviously, this was hinted at pretty heavily with the Halo imagery. There's also a light beam shining over Ian's head when he kills Terrence, and Jessica wanting to read the Bible.
The Bible. I want to read the Bible.
So they were definitely setting up that religious theme throughout Season 2. Well, that's all I really have to say about Utopia at the moment, but you should definitely subscribe because I have so much more about this show I want to talk about in the near future. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.
Come here a minute. Oh, can I go? Can I just go, please? Not yet. It's okay. This'll just make you sleep, is all. What?
My mate's gonna ask you a question.